came back across.
April 1942, America strikes back. Launching from the U.S. Hornet, 16 B-25s kickstart the next phase of war by bombing Tokyo.
For the Americans, the raid is a chance to strike back, even though it didn't really do very much material damage. It had a major impact on Japanese leadership. The military was embarrassed they'd allowed the emperor to be threatened like that.
The Japanese respond, setting their sights on America's most westerly Pacific base. From space, their strategy is clear. Seizing the island of Midway will extend their defensive perimeter deep into American waters.
And their plan is, we're going to surprise the Americans, we're going to seize Midway, and then they're going to be forced to come out and fight us on our terms. The problem for the Japanese is the Americans already know they're coming. The story of the American codebreakers is one of these lesser known, but perhaps one of the most important parts of the story of why America wins in the Pacific.
From June 1939, the U.S. Navy Combat Intelligence Unit, under the command of Joseph Rochefort, has been attempting to decipher JN-25, the Japanese naval code. Using punch card technology and mathematical analysis, they work around the clock. In the lead up to Midway, the decisive breakthrough is made.
They break the code. They knew the Japanese were coming. They knew where they were coming to Midway. They even knew when they were coming.
U.S. intelligence finally grasps the full scale of the Japanese attack. The situation is highly precarious. With a weakened fleet and up against a battle-hardened enemy force, Midway is the moment of truth.
The only way the Midway battle would work for America was to have their carriers in the right place and be able to strike the Japanese at just the right time.
The Americans have got to get in the first major shot.
At 4 a.m., Japanese bombing of Midway begins. What Admiral Nagumo can't see is 275 miles away, safely outside the range of Japanese radar. 4 U.S. carriers are poised for a counterattack. Only at 7:40 a.m. does a Japanese reconnaissance plane spot the U.S. fleet.
Battles are often decided by minutes or seconds, and Midway is filled with important minutes and seconds. When the late spotter plane finally finds the American fleet, Admiral Nagumo is hit with this dilemma about, do I outfit my aircraft for bombs to bomb Midway, as they already are, or do I stop, take those bombs off and put on torpedoes so they go after the American fleet? And whatever decision he comes upon is going to have a major impact on the rest of the battle.
While they were doing all this, of course, there was a long, critical waiting point with aircraft on the decks, huge quantities of explosives around. For the Japanese, this was the riskiest moment.
It is the moment America has been waiting for. 41 Douglas torpedo bombers descend for the attack.
But the American torpedo bombers show up unescorted, completely vulnerable. They're shot down like fish in a barrel. They just don't survive.
35 out of 41 planes are lost. Not a single bomb hits the Japanese fleet. It seems that Japan has struck the decisive blow.
And then all of a sudden, the dive bombers come in and the whole world changes.
A second wave of American dive bombers descends.
There's the Japanese fleet with no air cover and the decks covered with airplanes and torpedoes and bombs. They're just torches to be lit. And the dive bombers will come in and 3 Japanese aircraft carriers are destroyed in minutes.
As the final Japanese carrier is destroyed, along with 250 elite Japanese pilots, the balance of power has dramatically swung in America's favor.
We had 7 new carriers under construction. They had 1 carrier under construction. So they were never going to be able to replace these carriers. And what it meant is they would be thrown back on the defensive for the duration of the war.
In a global theater of war, control of the air is proving to be one of the determining factors for victory.